Wow, that was dramatic. I hope you liked it. I'll give you a slightly more in-depth and less dramatic tour of the castle now. I got the front here, I added a few little plant pots just to soften it up a little bit. I got my guard statue, and he is guarding the main man statue. I got two little, I guess you would call them security towers. They're just watching the steps. They are identical, but I'll show you them both anyway. Identical. You might have seen from the intro, there's sort of, the arrangement is two quite large towers at the front and then a main castle at the back of the plot. I'll show you the lower floor of this tower. So this is my tailor room. It might, I can't decide if it's my least favorite or my most favorite room. It kind of looks messy, but it also looks exactly like a tailor's room should look like, with all the different material. I use flags to represent the materials that they might be using to make clothes, etc. The only disappointing thing about this room is that I think a tailor's room needs to be a little bit bigger if you're going to use it as a functional castle, which was the idea. In fact, this castle was used as a functional castle. I'm not just making this video with a castle I've made after completing the game and everything's just to look cool. This was actually used to do a full run through of the game on Brutal. The only thing is, we found a decayed castle in our run through with about 4 million materials and have no need for any of the rooms anymore. So at this point, everything is just to look cool. So I know there's advanced looms and there should be some tanneries if you're really going to build a castle and use it for your run through of the game. This room doesn't have that, and I don't really care, to be honest, because it just looks cool. I'll show you the other side just so you get a sense of the symmetry, and then we'll go through that big front door. Just show you what I've got in there. Library on this side, again entirely pointless at this point in the game, but does look pretty cool. I'm quite happy with it. You can see I put a touch of the Castlevania DLC pack that's on the doors here and on this wall. I don't like going overboard with the DLCs. The DLCs tend to look very opulent or dramatic. I've used that word a few times, but they do, and I think if you just put it everywhere on all the walls and all the floors and every single bit of decoration, it kind of just, it's a bit overwhelming to look at. And it doesn't look like a realistic vampire castle. Yes, I did say a realistic vampire castle. But I think that makes sense. I don't know whether to go up on these second floors first. I think I'll just go into the main front door. And we've got a kind of cult church in here. A little chapel. I don't know what you would call it. It's certainly not a cathedral. It's a bit smaller. It reminds me of me being in school. My church I used to go to at school. It was kind of exactly this layout. I think a lot of them are, although there was no vampires. I've got a little, I don't know what you call these. I think these have a strange name in a church. I think they're called cloisters or something, like just to the side of the aisles. And they usually have like little statues and things, and so I've tried to recreate that. It is symmetrical. We've got the two altars here. And there are also two balconies above. I'll show you them in a second. I got my holy water, which I'm not sure how that translates to a vampire world, but I put it there anyway, just because it just looks like it belongs. And then I've kind of gone with like the cult approach. There's a lot of different ways you can do a castle. You can do like a palatial castle. You could have like ballrooms and things like that. I think I've gone for sort of like the lord of this castle is the leader of a cult, and he has a little church, and he also manipulates politicians and things like that. And that's sort of like the reason behind these rooms. I've got a kind of waiting room to go up and see the main guy. Even as it's a waiting room, this is the only clock in the castle. And then on the other side is, I think it's a bit small for a banquet hall, but it's a dinner hall, I would say. And then we've got staircases both sides that go right up to the top. But I won't show you that yet. I think we'll save the throne room till last. You can see there's a staircase on that side too. So we'll just go down into the crypt. I'll show you that next. Back through the tailors. This crypt, you can see I've used these walls. If you don't have these walls, they're in one of the DLCs. I don't remember the name of the DLC. It's the green one. If you see the green DLC, it's that one. And it also has this floor in it, which I really like. It looks like a crypt floor. This kind of is the more functional aspect. So every time I've designed a bunch of different castles, and every time I do it, it's the ground floor is the functional area, and it has most of the rooms that you're using all the time when you're playing the game. And then the upper floors are usually just to look cool and have the throne room and things like that. So this is sort of like the moving around hub. That's why I've got all 3 teleport nodes here, and I have a ton of materials. I actually need all of these storage spaces, and probably a few more. I don't even collect stuff off the ground anymore because I just have too much stuff stored in these places from decayed castles that I've just gone and looted and shoved in my castle. This is my forge. It probably looks like a lot of other forges. I've gone for the black walls. I imagine they're covered in like soot and stuff like that. And I always go for open flame where I can for the lighting. And I try not to go over the top with lighting. That's another thing I tend to avoid with my castles. I don't put like lights on every single pillar. I see that a lot. Every single pillar has to have a light, but I tried to keep a few safe and make it a little bit more like a realistic vampire castle. I think there's another approach with forges, by the way, where you could make it a little bit more run down, but I kind of like the idea of a bit of an opulent forge. That's why I got this shield here, and you actually need the gems to make some of the weapons later on in the game, so that's kind of, that originally wasn't there. I just put that there because I actually need it there. Other side is symmetrical in its layout, but this is the workshop. I would say fully functional workshop, although I don't actually use any of its functions anymore. I imagine the little workers playing chess. I tried to swap up the wallpapers a little bit here. You might have noticed yourselves in the game that they have this cool one with the little cupboards and storage. I wouldn't want to put it everywhere. Put it in the places where it looks like you could use the cupboards. Use this little table here that kind of looks like a, I don't know, these bookshelves that are on the wall. Look at the height of my character and the bookshelf. Every time I put the bookshelf on, I'm like, how do I reach the book? So I put a little table there that just looks like a stool. And at least it makes sense to me in my head now. These little carpets, by the way, from the free Halloween DLC. You don't know where to get them. I've got these statues, which I just had to put them somewhere just because they're the coolest things in the game, I think, for the castle. And I kind of used that, you might have seen already. I've got a prison over here. So these are kind of symbolizing a threat to the prisoners by facing that way. I won't go in the prison yet, although I will show you my werewolf because I like my werewolf, he's pretty cool. I've got servants over here. Really not gone over the top in this room, and that's intentional just because they're servants. And if I was a lord of a castle and I had servants that were mind controlled, I don't think I would spend too much money giving them a nice room. And I've got the exact same room over here. Sticking with the symmetry as always. So, prison. It's just basically got all the prison walls and floors, and it really does give you a good prison vibe just right off the bat. And then I've got this, the green DLC, whatever it's called, someone can tell me. Just because a lot of the times, prisoners turn into mutants, so I wanted to sort of capture that effect. We keep feeding them the irradiant gruel when they're on 98% blood purity, and they just always turn into mutants. We're very rarely lucky. So this is just symbolizing our pain playing this game. I'm not going to go to the teleports when I think when I do the run through. I'll show you the garden now, so that you can access the garden from the crypt. Little seating area, some willow trees, I think they're called. And I've got there's another access to the castle here. Wow, there's some actual enemies outside. I don't think they'll attack me though. They do tend to, if this gate was open, they would come on the plot, which they don't do in seemingly any other area of the map, but on this area, their pathing just brings them onto the plot all the time. They fight each other. It's kind of crazy. So I got the exact same. In fact, these are identical to the ones at the front of the castle. So there's another one I won't even bother showing you it. I imagine this is called like the Sister's Gate or something. Cool name. And I've got the two Castlevania statues. I don't know what the woman called from Castlevania, but Maria? Is it Maria? And in case people come through the entrance, they got some water. Not holy water in this case, just normal water. And then I got my Stygian summoning circle, which, I don't know, I don't really do much. I just put some pillars around it and it kind of looked cool enough as it was. Although I did do something interesting with it. I've got my HUD turned off to see if I can turn it to bat form without accidentally turning into a frog. I can't see the wheel. So you might have seen on the intro I did this with the candles, which took a long time, and there's a lot of invisible floors going on here just to be able to get access to this space and put these candles above invisible floors. They might not look it, but they are perfectly lined up. And that took me probably the longest of any of the individual features of this castle. And I'm quite happy with it. I was fully prepared to delete it. I thought, well, this idea might look cool or it might look terrible, and in the end I thought it looked pretty cool, so kept it. I got my Dracula shard storage thing. I don't like the look of these things, if I'm honest, but I don't mind the Dracula one because at least it's red, and that kind of suits the theme of the castle. And it's the only one you need after you've completed the game. I don't see the point in the other shards because they're just weaker than this one, so I just have the one for that. And I'll show you a bit more of the garden. So my castle heart is back here. I kept a bit of the church, the cult church theme with this statue. Also a DLC statue, I don't know which DLC, I can't remember. Just got a little touch of these, what do you call them? Ivy, I guess, growing up. And I do like this fountain, and I think it looks cool just being next to the castle heart with all the blood going on in the same place. Kind of gives a theme to the garden, I suppose. Right. I don't think I showed you the upstairs of these two towers. I've showed you the library and the tailor. They're on the first floor of the towers. Second floor of these towers. This one is my alchemy room. This is me AFK on a different computer doing a very good job of looking cool. But usually not there. So just small touches from the more cool DLC items. I don't want to go overboard with everything. And I could have gone with the green windows, which you might have seen on that DLC. A lot of people use those. They do look cool, but I just prefer windows that you can see through. I really just prefer them when you can see through them. I think they just look cooler, and it's nice that all the windows in the castle are of the same style, except for in the church. I did put a couple of the stained glass windows in the back of the church. You might have seen that before. So up here you can get access to the same stairwell that's at the bottom of the church, and then you can see over there identical staircase. So these just give you access into these what would be spiral staircases, but within the parameters of this game are square staircases. So I'll show you the other side now. Jewelry room. This is, again, I'm going to mention, not fully functional just because it doesn't have the jewel crafting thing, the thing that crushes gems or something. I don't know. There is another workstation that you can put in here, which I mean, I do technically have space. I just don't need it, and I really like the symmetry with the gem storage and the coin storage there. So I just like it like this, and like I said, we've got a million materials on this account, so these are not functioning rooms anymore. They're just there to look cool. I got a touch of the Castlevania, but again, not going overboard with it and putting it on every single wall, just on the end central pieces here, just to bring a bit more of the darker blue. And then showing it, this goes back into the other square staircase. So I guess I can show you. This will go back down to what I'd called the waiting room before. So you're waiting to see the main guy, and then you come up. You'll notice there's like dead spaces. So I've got like a dead square in here, and this happens to fill with a roof. A lot of you might have come across this problem when you try and make it. I don't mind it. You never see it. I always put the black wallpaper on just so it doesn't catch your eye at all, really. I got another dead space here, but I'm not afraid of the dead spaces. I think I'd rather have the rooms be the right shape and make sense rather than filling every single space with usable room space and it just is a weird shaped room. I much prefer like this. So we go up here. I've got the flags hanging down on the corners and single candles. And I've kept the exterior wall the same. I wanted it to feel like a real castle instead of a palace, so it's all black stonework. Got picture frames. So this is the lower area of the throne room, and then I've got sort of like, I guess, the royal bedroom. I had a dilemma here because I'll explain that in a second. Actually, I wanted to have a door here and I ended up not choosing to have a door here. It does seem strange to me that I've got a dressing area and it's not private to the throne room like this, but there is a reason for it and I'll explain it in a second. So this is my, I guess, his and hers dressing area. I guess this is the hers part. I got a pink and blue royal bedroom. So I play the game with my wife. That's why we've got the royal bedroom, and we also play with a couple of friends, and you would have seen the two coffins in the crypt. They play less often, so that's why they're stuck in the crypt, and we have a cool bedroom. And this is his dressing area. I do like this, that you can sort of jump down into the stairwell. And then balcony. Personally think if you don't have a balcony at the front of your castle, you've just not built it correctly, because there's just something cool about having a balcony on the front. And I do love the lightning as well. You can see I've got the flags everywhere. I don't know if flags is the right word. Symbols of my cult on the walls. And I like these ones that hang down and sort of a tiered effect. They got the higher one here and slightly lower one there as you're coming up the steps. And then back up to the main throne room. And this is why everything is red, black, and gold. Just because this is red, black, and gold, the throne itself, and I don't see the point in fighting with that color scheme. I'm just gonna go with it. Tried not to again go overboard with the. This is like some DLC wallpaper. But if you hold shift and like fill the entire wall, the pillars become very, very opulent and gold, which I did not like. I kind of prefer a much more castle, like spooky castle look rather than a palace. So I've just kept a little bit of the softer wallpaper here, avoided these pillars turning gold and just kept them black, and then as much space as possible, apart from directly next to the throne, I've got in the normal stone, which is the same as the exterior. I tried to soften it up also with these roses. It does a good job. And I never put flames right next to flowers or material. I always keep like at least a couple foot, because in my head I'm just like, that's gonna catch fire, and it just annoys me, so I always try and keep them a little bit separate. And then I got a little private self-reflecting I'm an evil man altar behind the throne, just, you know, when he feels bad for all the things he does. And I think that's kind of everything. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll sit on the throne just because, you know, I think that's essential for any castle tour. I almost forgot to explain what I was saying before about these dressing areas and why there's no door into them. And it's because I really wanted this throne room to be completely open. And if you put a wall there, you end up with this little spire, mini spire at the top of the pillar, which I don't like the look of it. I think it kind of doesn't suit the rest of the aesthetic, so I just avoided putting that door there. But I could go either way on it. For now, I'm leaving it like this. So I said I'd explain that, and I have now. There you go. And there we go. There's the frog that I was telling you about. Do another quick fly around so you can see it. If you want to know where the castle is, in case you want to build the exact same thing, feel free. It is this plot right here. It's a great plot because, first of all, it's in the lightning zone, which is just very atmospheric and perfect for a vampire castle. And also, it's very square, so if you want anything symmetrical with a entrance right here, right in the middle, and a double entrance too, I think it's almost ideal. This one also would probably serve that purpose. You got the entrance right central there, and a larger plot. You could also put a really cool tower there. And I like this one, and that's where I am. So if you want to do something similar, now you know where to do it. If you're on a server where this one's free, go take it. Alright, well, thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you next time I make another castle.